Hello, welcome to this lesson on Third Cinema. On the basis of substantial institutional network and extensive global reach, cinema traditions of the world have been classified into three major categories: first cinema, second cinema, and third cinema. American commercial films produced in the Hollywood studio system are known as the first cinema. The phrase second cinema usually refers to both commercial and art house films produced in European countries. Third cinema emerged in the Latin American countries, especially in Spanish-speaking countries like Argentina, Bolivia, Colombia, Venezuela, etc. in the 1960s and 1970s as an alternative model to the first cinema and second cinema mentioned above. Third cinema was originally labeled as tercer cine, which was the Spanish equivalent for third cinema. However, nowadays the phrase third cinema has been used as an umbrella term to represent major cinematic traditions apart from the first cinema and second cinema around the world, including Africa, Asia, Middle East, etc. In this sense, the phrase third cinema goes synonymous with the third world cinema. However, this module focuses on Latin American third cinema movement of the 1960s, which had a very specific historical, ideological and aesthetic orientations as far as cinema as a cultural product was concerned. Learning objectives: to enable the learner to understand the socio-political reasons behind the origin of Latin American third cinema, to comprehend the specific narrative and thematic features of Latin American third cinema, to familiarize with the major third cinema filmmakers of the 1960s and their films, to appreciate and critically respond to a few third cinema movies of the 1960s. Third cinema as an alternative approach to filmmaking, film aesthetics, film function and film exhibition practices was theoretically inaugurated by Fernando Solanas and Octavio Getino in 1969 with their jointly written Spanish article entitled Toward Third Cinema, which was published in the magazine Tricontinental. Tricontinental was the official mouthpiece of Organization of Solidarity with the People of Asia, Africa and Latin America, or OSPAL. OSPAL is a left-wing sociopolitical organization headquartered in Havana, the capital city of Cuba. Fighting imperialism, capitalism, globalization are some of the political objectives of OSPAL, which was founded in 1966. The theoretical proposers of third cinema, Fernando Solanas and Octavio Getino, were left-wing political activists and radical Argentinian filmmakers who practiced and propagated third cinema or cine liberación or cinema of liberation. Fernando Solanas, Octavio Getino and Gerardo Vallejo co-founded the left radical film movement Grupo Cine Liberación, the liberation film group in the 1960s. The film La Hora de los Homos, The Hour of the Furnaces, 1916, a directorial collaboration of Solanas and Getino, is considered to be the first classic example of third cinema. This revolutionary activist film, made in three parts, has a running time of 260 minutes. It's a political film made largely in the documentary tradition with lots of archive footages and long voiceover narration. It's a political trial of the establishment of the time. Mao Zedong, Fidel Castro, Che Guevara are among the many revolutionary leaders featured in the film using archive film stock. Actually, the phrase third cinema does not refer to a specific film movement which occurred in any particular country in Latin America. On the contrary, third cinema is an umbrella term used to refer to similar film movements occurred in many Latin American countries which had similar political and aesthetic orientations. Third cinema had its national counterparts in Latin American and African countries like Argentina, Peru, Chile, Cuba, Brazil, Uruguay, Senegal, Algeria, etc. The idea of third cinema, as proposed by Fernando Solanas and Octavio Getino, is radically different from the first, second, and third cinema models suggested at the beginning of this lesson. They refuse the hierarchization of their alternative cinema as third. For them, all these three typologies of cinema emerged as radical alternatives to the mainstream capitalist system cinema, especially those of the Hollywood cinema. For Solanas and Getino, first cinema occurred with the emergence of auteur cinema, which placed the film director at the center or as an autonomous artist who has absolute right and control over his cinema. The second cinema happened with the arrival of the expression cinema or the new wave cinema. The second cinema, I quote, alternative suggested a step forward in so much as it demanded that the filmmaker be free to express himself in non-standard language, in as much as it was an attempt at cultural decolonization. Unquote, Solanas and Getino. But the second cinema are also trapped inside the fortress of the Hollywood legacy. In this context, Solanas and Getino say that, I quote, real alternatives differing from offered by the system cinema are only possible if one of the two requirements is fulfilled: making films that system cannot assimilate and which are foreign to its needs, or making films that directly and explicitly set out to fight the system. Neither of these requirements fits within the alternatives that are still offered by the second cinema, but they can be found in the revolutionary opening towards a cinema outside and against the system, in a cinema of liberation, the third cinema. Unquote. The article Toward a Third Cinema, which refuses itself to be called a manifesto, lays down a very broad and flexible framework for making revolutionary films, which could be called part of the third cinema movement. Cinema of liberation, guerrilla cinema, film act, cine militante, film pamphlet are some of the other phrases alternatively used to refer to the third cinema movement. Key ideas taken from the foundational article by Solanas and Getino are extensively used in this lesson to describe the fundamental features of the movement third cinema. Weaponization of cinema. Solanas and Getino place cinema in the larger context of liberation of the masses. In the struggle for freedom, like direct political activism, cultural activism is also required. So, artists, including filmmakers, should take active part in political revolution by weaponizing their art. Cinema has to be modified as a weapon to fight suppression. The cinematographic camera has to be politically reconceived as a cultural gun which can shoot 24 frames per second. The Cuban film Memories of Underdevelopment, 1968, directed by Thomas Gutierrez Elia, comes under the category of third cinema. The film is about the transformation of Cuba since the Cuban Revolution of 1953. To authenticate the fictional narrative, the director has inserted many actual footages of events happened in Cuba at different times in the past. Cinema has a military function of subversion to carry out in the process of the liberation of the masses. Third cinema principles urge the filmmakers to restore words, dramatic actions, and images to the places where they can carry out a revolutionary role, where they will be useful, where they will become weapons in the struggle, unquote. Solano and Getino. Cinematic aesthetics of decolonization. One of the cultural subconsequences of European colonization is the near elimination of indigenous artistic practices and narrative stylistics. The cultural territory of cinema also experienced European colonialism articulated through the institutional structure of system cinema, especially of the Hollywood kind. Third cinema urges the practitioners of cinema of liberation to discover new cinematic aesthetics in the form of film narration and film idiom. These include the rejection of cinema as a consumer product intended to make profit. George Sangin's 1969 film Blood of the Condor depicts how the fertility of the Bolivian women were controlled and destroyed by the capitalist neocolonial medical mafia which was promoted by the USA. The capitalistic practice of reduction of work of art as consumer product meant solely for entertainment is resisted by the third cinema practitioners. Foundation of a national socialist cinema. The gigantic Hollywood cinematic apparatus has standardized the conception, making, and exhibition of films by following the Fordist assembly line production practices. For Hollywood, the film studio is just like a heavily mechanized factory wherefrom standardized cinematic products are churned out one after the other. In this process, it has homogenized world cinema. Third cinema, as a strategy of cultural resistance to Hollywood, advocates the cultivation of national specific cinema conception, making, and exhibition practices which would contribute to the specific socialist causes in respective nations. System cinema's practice of universalization of cinematic and artistic conceptions and styles are to be resisted by inventing and rediscovering localized, marginal, artistic, cinematic practices which would lead to the establishment of a localized, nation-specific, people-specific, organic cinematic culture. Cinema of destruction and construction. Third cinema has got a simultaneous dual function, destruction and construction. It has to demolish the neo-colonialist image constructed by the system cinema about the colonized subject and to construct the real throbbing reality of national identity and life. I quote, "In a world where the unreal rules, artistic expression is shoved along the channels of fantasy, fiction, language in code, sign language, and messages whispered between the lines. Art is cut off from the concrete facts, which for the neo-colonialist standpoint are necessary testimonies to turn back on itself, strutting about in a world of abstractions and phantoms where it becomes timeless and historyless." Solanas and Getino, unquote. Argentinian filmmaker Raimundo Iglesias' Mexico, La Revolution, Mexico, the Frozen Revolution, 1971, documents the peasant's life during the Mexican Revolution of 1911 to 1917.
The rest of the Mexican left, working underground.
The director of this film had been kidnapped by the dictatorial regime of the time, and ever since he has been in disappearance. Proletarianization of the auteur. Within the socialist philosophical context of third cinema, A film director is just another worker or activist standing for the cause of winning the battle of liberation from the neo-colonialist cultural politics. There is no idea of an auteur in third cinema praxis. I quote, guerrilla filmmaking proletarianizes the film worker and breaks down the intellectual aristocracy that the bourgeois grants to its followers, unquote. The film director is a cultural worker, a cultural proletariat without any metaphysical or intellectual aura around him. Erasure of symptoms of system cinema. System cinema or mainstream cinema believes technical perfection in all departments of film conception, shooting, post-production, advertisement, and exhibition of films. This widespread obsession with the technical perfection converts filmmaking and film viewing activities highly costly. Third cinema advocates the rejection of every such elements which would mimic the financial model of system cinema. Cinema spectatorship. Another radical cinematic notion offered by the third cinema is the reconceptualization of the cinematic spectatorship. In mainstream system cinema, a spectator is just a consumer who pays to watch the film, thereby contributing just to the box office revenue of the films. The following statements by the authors of Toward a Third Cinema further elaborate the redefined role of the spectator. I quote, we also discovered that every comrade who attended such showing did so with full awareness that he was infringing the system's laws and exposing his personal security to eventual repression. This person was no longer a spectator. On the contrary, from the moment he decided to attend the showing, from the moment he lined himself up on this side by taking risks and contributing his living experience to the meeting, he became an actor, a more important protagonist than those who appeared in films. Such a person was seeking other committed people like himself, while he in turn became committed to them. The spectator made the way for the actor who sought himself in others, unquote. So, here the third cinema spectator is accorded two roles: to spect or to watch the film, and to act in the process of watching the film as an activist actor participating in a revolutionary act of watching a radical film. This ensures an interactive cinema appreciation model also. Democratization of cinematic apparatuses. Third cinema has no room for celebrity cinematic artists and capitalist institutionalized cinematic apparatuses. Extreme specializations in various aspects of filmmaking is rejected by third cinema. Every cinema proletariat has to learn and practice minimum skills for the making of a film. At any moment, a particular cinema worker may be asked to take up a different job. For instance, a cinematographer may be asked to take up the role of a director or the editor. This idea democratizes the filmmaking process in the context of third cinema. Brazilian filmmaker Nelson Pereira dos Santos' Dry Leaves, released in 1963, is also often cited as an example of third cinema. Socialist financial model in filmmaking. Third cinema rejects the notion of capitalist funding for cinema production. At the same time, it puts forward an alternative financial model where the film production collectivity gets a return along with a minor surplus amount. I quote, "At least in the earlier stages, the revolutionary filmmaker and the work groups will be the sole producers of their films. They must bear the responsibility of finding ways to facilitate the continuity of work. Guerrilla cinema still doesn't have enough experience to set down standards in this area. What experience there is has shown, above all, the ability to make use of the concrete situation of each country. But regardless of what these situations may be, the preparation of film cannot be undertaken without a parallel of its future audience and consequently a plan to recover the financial investment. Here, once again, the need arises of closer ties between political and artistic vanguards, since this also serves for the joint study of forms of production, exhibition and continuity." Unquote. Solana and Getino. Establishment of alternative exhibition networks. As the mainstream cinema exhibition halls might not be accessible for low-budget third cinema movies, it becomes necessary to find alternative sites of film exhibitions. Solanas and Getino suggest to form a vast network of underground exhibition and distribution systems in order to make it sure that third cinema reaches to the masses. Parishes, university campuses, and cultural centers are ideal locations for showing radical third cinema films. Preference to the documentary mode. The third cinema advocates suggest the documentary mode as the most politically and philosophically compatible form, especially when it comes to the depiction of disturbing socio-political realities. In the following words, Solanas and Getino explain why the documentary mode is more appropriate for third cinema. I quote, "The cinema known as documentary, with all the vastness that the concept has today, from educational films to the reconstruction of a fact or a historical event, is perhaps the main basis of revolutionary filmmaking. Every image that documents, bears witness to, or refutes or deepens the truth of a situation is something more than a film image or purely artistic fact. It becomes something which the system finds indigestible." Unquote. The Italian director Gillo Pontecorvo's film, The Battle of Algiers, released in 1965, can be cited as an example of third cinema made in the African continent. The film depicts the native people's rebellion against the French imperial government. The film largely employs the documentary narrative style along with location shooting. Thank you for watching the video.